Making the Invisible Visible, Black Women 365 Days of the Year. Each day will spotlight a remarkable woman whose story has shaped Black, British or global diasporic history. Women whose achievements are too often overlooked. Through these daily short films, we create a living, breathing archive of leadership, creativity, resistance and legacy. There are some people whose words do not simply sit on a page. Their words move. They dance, they sing, they confront pain, laughter, memory, and survival all at once. Today, for Making the Invisible Visible, Black Women 365 Days a Year, we remember Binta Breeze, poet, performer, storyteller, and one of the most important voices in Black British cultural history. Born in Jamaica in 1956, Binta Breeze carried with her rhythm, language and oral traditions of the Caribbean. But when she arrived in Britain in the late 1970s, she entered a country still struggling to understand the richness and complexity of Black lives. Britain often expected silence from Black women. Binta Breeze answered with poetry. She became one of the first women to gain international recognition in dub poetry, a form rooted in reggae, rhythm, political consciousness and spoken word performance. At a time when the genre was dominated by men, Binta Breeze transformed it through her own distinctive voice. Lyrical, sharp, emotional, humorous and deeply human. Her work spoke about racism, migration, womanhood, mental health, love and survival. She spoke about the realities that many people were afraid to name, and she did so with honesty and courage. For a period of her life, Binta Breeze lived in Leicester, a city shaped by migration, resistance and cultural reinvention. Leicester became part of her journey, part of the landscape through which her creativity and community connections developed. Cities like Leicester have long held important stories in Black British cultural history, yet these stories are often overlooked in national narratives. Black British creativity has never belonged only to London. Important voices were nurtured in cities and communities across the country. And wherever Binta went, she carried community with her. Her performance was never distant or detached. She connected with audience through warmth, humour and vulnerability. People saw themselves in her words, the loneliness of migration, the complexities of identity, and the fight to hold on to joy. Importantly, Binta Breeze was also spoken openly about mental health, long before such conversations became common in public life. Through poems like Riddym Ravings, she explored schizophrenia, isolation and emotional struggle with compassion and brilliance, challenging stigma within Black communities and wider society. That honesty made her work revolutionary. She refused to hide pain, but she also refused to let pain define Black life completely. There was always laughter in her words, music, rhythm, possibility. Binta Breeze helped reshape British poetry itself. She brought Jamaican patois, oral storytelling and Caribbean musicality into spaces that had long privileged tradition of English literary forms. Binta Breeze showed us that poetry could be political without losing tenderness, that performance could challenge injustice while making space for healing, that Black women's voices could carry the entire histories with them. Today, her legacy continues through spoken word artists, dub poetry, performers, educators and young creators across Britain and the diaspora who stand on foundations she helped to build. For Making the Invisible Visible, Black Women 365 Days a Year, we honour Binta Breeze. A woman whose words travelled across generations. A woman whose voice carried the sound of survival. A woman whose life reminds us that Black British culture has always been richer, deeper, and more powerful than history has often allowed us to see.
Thank you for joining us for today's story. Making the invisible visible is our commitment to ensuring that Black women's histories and contributions are recognised, valued and kept in daily circulation. Across 2026, we will continue to share these powerful narratives, 365 days of impact, brilliance and inspiration. Stay connected, join the conversation and help us champion the women whose journeys continue to shape our world. I'm Paulette Brooks and I'm looking forward to seeing